silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation, right? And so when we talk about the monkey mind, we talk about how much
800 years ago.
Buddha got nothing on me. Rumi just slaying all over.
800 years ago, just dropping mics. God damn it.
People were like, Rumi, what's a mic? And he's like, you'll find out.
You'll see.
And you'll see.
Welcome back to The Bridge Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Nixon.
Jonathan Matthew.
How the hell are you feeling today, man? We may not get into Om chanting today because it's not necessary in your meditative practice. But today we are kicking off a meditation series, okay? At least this week we'll do meditation week, like Shark Week and shit.
Meditation week.
But, because here's the thing. Meditation is such an important practice. Right. Yeah. But it's all over the place, and what the hell is it, and how come they don't teach us it in school, and all this other nonsense. Secondly, so many people now are aware that it will definitely benefit them, and they have no idea what it is or where to start or how to do it. Then there's people that have heard for a while now that it is good for them, and they've tried and they're not good at it, or they've failed, or they can't do it, or it's not for them. And we're here to tell you none of that is true. You just weren't on the right path. And we're here to set you up on the right path. All right? So what is meditation? To us, meditation is a mental exercise, okay? Concentrating on the breath or a mantra for the purpose of reaching a higher level of spiritual awareness and to work in energy to the parasympathetic nervous system, okay? To me, physical exercise, you're working out energy, and meditation, you're working in energy, okay? So that's your yin and your yang balance. Everything is energy throughout the day, and when you're go, 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 and not enough, and it's all yang, 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 fire energy, and not enough yin, yin, softer, pulling in, feminine energy, then you're going to be out of balance. I believe it was my man Charles Poliquin, where it was like, the working out is the flame, and meditation is the fluid, the lighter fluid.
Ooh, interesting.
And you got to fill up your lighter fluid every now and again.
Yeah, because you like working out's a good way to put it too. Because when you're working out, your attention is on your body, other things, moving other things. Right? There's a mixed attention. Right? It's in your body too, for sure. Which if you're working out in a high level, you're definitely in your body for sure. But it's interaction with external environment. Right? Any kind of exercise, whether it be
versus
outside, bring it all in.
I like that. Because even with the external stuff, you're looking at proprioception of the body, where with meditation, you're going into the depths of the mind. And I like it. So here's the thing. Meditation is not necessarily sitting under a Bodhi tree like the Buddha in the lotus position, chanting Om and not thinking thoughts. Yeah. Okay? Here's the deal. There's no rules. We're going to give you a whole list of things that it could be as far as intentions and goals for meditation, even though goals is a weird word, because it's more of a letting go and a surrender and a breathing practice than actually achieving things. That's why it's weird, right? Because it's a non-doing.
Yeah, it's an undoing, right?
Undoing.
But people get wound up.
Yes,
when they say
undoing.
that,
No, that's what it
you're
is.
getting unwound, essentially, right?
That's what it is. It's a practice of unwinding. Okay, let's put it that way. So there's no fancy rules. You don't need a fancy cushion and a fancy position. The positions are nice.
Yeah, like Buddha didn't have a crystal collection and lit sage on like a $120 yoga mat, with his
Lululemons.
With his Lululemons, he wasn't doing that.
Not necessarily.
He had probably some dirty ass robes and was sitting under a tree and probably sweaty and gross, no deodorant.
He said, "What's going on here?
Yeah,
let's observe my thoughts."
So my one of my mentors, Dr. Lemming, he gave me a great book, What Makes You Not a Buddhist. That's it's a good thing too, because people get trapped for yoga. It's really good too, because people get caught up in the trappings of yoga and Buddhism and meditation. And it's like, I have all the stuff. I have all the paraphernalia of a yogi.
That reminds me of people with a 135-pound squat that they got $100 knee sleeves, $200 shoes,
exactly.
$150 belt. And you're like, you
gear.
can't do shit, but you got the gear.
That's like when I was in high school. Because I never felt like I deserved like all the fancy armbands until I was playing enough at a level.
Dude,
that I could wear that,
Don't get me started.
Well, you gotta have double
armbands.
socks, and you got your double Nikes, your
socks.
armbands, and your visor. And we're sitting on the bench here, getting water for the varsity team,
good.
bro. But I look good. You look good. You feel good, I guess.
Great point.
But yeah, what meditation is not. And we have like that loose definition of what it can be, and different practices have different definitions, different cultures, spiritual practices. But at its heart, I have this I like this Rumi quote. Rumi's, our guy.
Let's ever not go a week without quoting Rumi.
Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation, right? And so when we talk about the monkey mind, we talk about how much
800 years ago.
Buddha got nothing on me. Rumi just slaying all over.
800 years ago, just dropping mics. God damn it.
People were like, Rumi, what's a mic? And he's like, you'll find out.
You'll see.
And you'll see. But yeah, people think the reason people have the conception that it's not thinking is because of this that there's supposed to be silence or stillness, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean not thinking, right? The not thinking comes from the push-pull detachment of the thoughts. So you got this running internal monologue going on,
yes,
constantly. That's the chatter, right?
You are not your thoughts. You are not your body. You are loving awareness and consciousness in a soul that has a body. Thoughts are in the collective consciousness that come and go like clouds.
Yeah, you're like an antenna, picking up things.
That's it.
Things are coming,
you're
are going.
You're literally an antenna, and that's what yoga and meditation is tuning into those frequencies.
Yeah.
Literally.
And meditation is really a practice of, if you've ever done like Headspace or you tried an app like that where they have the guided meditations, or like Wayne Dyer says, when meditating, think of thoughts as just a breeze blowing right by you, right?
That's it.
I know a lot of them, people use the clouds passing in the sky as a great metaphor. That's a really good one.
Just to observe and not attach and hold on to.
Yeah.
But you're also not pushing them away.
No, just sitting and observing.
So like, once again, with the Buddha, you're finding the middle lane of not attaching to your most favorite joyous memory and thought
that feels
ever,
good, right? Yeah.
Or going into the cave of pain and fear and replaying your worst nightmare or memory over and over and over again. You're doing neither of those. You're letting go and surrendering to the middle lane of the present moment.
Yeah,
okay?
so that's the reason it's not thinking. It's an observation of thinking, and once you get to a certain point, which may not be necessary at all for you to really get the benefits of meditation.
No,
there just won't be any voice.
That's so funny.
There will just be stillness.
That
right?
reminds me of the Ram Dass. I think I've said it before, where he's like, okay, you get in a good rhythm, and you're like following the breath, watching my breath. Okay, I'm hungry, watching the breath. My knee hurts, watching the breath. I'm tired, watching the breath. And then it goes silent, and you're like, I'm doing it. It's working. And then it's working. And then you're like, and then your ego's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Then you're like, I'm back.
I'm back. All right. And then we're back because that's a win. So here's the thing. The way it was, all right, I'll tell you, the way it was described to me originally when I first started meditating is you're just following your breath because that's what you have complete control of. And you're becoming aware of your thoughts. And like I said, you're not pushing them out and overanalyzing them and you're not attaching onto them. So if you're sitting there, and your inhale and exhale, sometimes it's nice to close your eyes and visualize the breath of like a color coming in and filling up your belly and your lungs. And then sometimes I do blue coming in, red going out. So you're breathing in the good shit, breathing out the bad shit.
Action,
there you go. Action. There you go. A little blue slushy, raspberry slushy. Those are good. Since they closed down all the movie theaters, I don't think anybody's drinking those anymore.
A big gulp at 7-Eleven.
So here's the thing. If a car goes by, you're not like, don't think about cars. Don't think about cars. But you're also not like, I wonder what kind of car is it? What color car is it? You're not, because that's it. You become aware that it was a car, back to the breath, back to the present moment. So I also like, once again, stealing from Ram Dass, a lot of times I'll say to myself, be here now. Be here now. Because your brain is always going to go to sexual fantasies, memories of the past, good or bad, or future imagination, daydreaming, drifting off. And that's fine. That's normal, okay? That is not, your mind wandering is not the enemy. That is an opportunity, okay, to focus and bring yourself back to the present moment, okay? That helps you build focus and compassion for yourself. So instead of getting frustrated when the mind wanders, you're like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, this is your classic obstacle is the way scenario here,
Boom.
right?
And then every time the mind wanders and you bring it back to the present moment, that's a win. And those wins add up.
Mark those wins off.
Boom. W's.
Yeah, because like when I teach in my yoga classes, when I do a lot of standing balance poses, is balance isn't about not moving at all, right? Balance is an active thing, right? If you ever feel into your foot when you're standing on one leg, it's not just here. It's doing this all the time, constantly. It's
fighting
never
for center.
Yep.
So that's another definition of meditation: a centering practice.
Returning to center.
Returning to center, mentally, emotionally, physically too, and obviously
that's
spiritually.
one of my mantras that I've been using recently. That's been probably one of the most helpful. Return to center. Return to center. And you can do that in every single moment. But it's that, again, I'm not fighting to stay still because I know that I'm constantly moving. So when I embrace the movement and the fluctuation, when you're in the water, you're trying to float on top of the water, just thrashing around and trying to hold the water, trying to get above the water.
Or being a stiff board.
Or being a stiff board is just be completely relaxed within it,
and you surrender
with it. You start to move that's why Bruce Lee's saying,
become the water.
Be like water, because you're fluid. Right?
Like that.
You're not rigid.
Which, real quick, was a great tip for cold showers that Gio gave me.
Ooh.
He realized, he's like, if I am a Homo sapien and I know that the water is cold and I'm going into a cold shower and the mind starts running, then you're going to go in and you're going to freak out, right? But he goes, I become the water.
Oh.
So now I am already the water. And then when I step into the water, we're one thing.
It goes down the drain.
Woo, baby. That's beautiful. Okay, so the same way we were saying, meditation is mental exercise. Think of it as the yin to the yang of physical exercise, right? So when you go in and you can't lift a 20-pound dumbbell, you don't get frustrated. You go down to the 15s or whatever you can handle, lift it with good form, and you try to do more next time. And that's your progress. And that's what you hang your hat on, is consistency, creating the habit, and progress. Not how much weight you can lift. Who the hell cares? Right?
Yeah, the goal of a discipline, meditation is a discipline.
Yes.
When people say...
So discipline and a practice.
It's funny because discipline is a noun and a verb, right? You think of a discipline, I'm disciplined in something, that's an adjective, right? Or I have discipline as a noun, right? Or I have a discipline, which is also a practice, right?
Yes.
But they all kind of come to the same thing. It's a repetition with intention and focus, right? That's all that is. That's why martial arts... People think of discipline immediately because it's repetition. You're practicing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again with intense laser focus, being present in the moment. And so yoga, meditation is just like a martial arts, like a discipline.
It's a discipline practice.
It's about showing up more than anything.
Every single day.
It's not about getting heavyweight or the results, right? It's about showing up.
I said I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I need to do that.
The discipline is showing up for the practice.
Boom. That's why you're the best in the business on the microphone, man. Because it's the same thing with workouts. Say you're working out 5 times a week. One of them you're going to be Superman. One of them you're going to be dog shit. And 3 of them you're just going to be punching the clock and getting your good workout in.
Yep.
So you show up every day. So the average of that is progress over the long time. But it's a practice of showing up, creating habits, and discipline. I love that.
And I like how you said that too. It's the good days, the bad days, the in-between days.
Doesn't matter.
It's showing up no matter what, right? Because it's showing up for the sake of showing up, because you know what the result of accumulation, right? If you learn to play an instrument, if you ever played an instrument before, you're not going in, I can't play Mozart the first day, I quit. This is not for me, right? This is not for me. Well, no, I'm curious about the piano. I'd like to learn more. I can play this note. All right, that's dope.
Play what you can play. Show up tomorrow and practice. Because that's what you guys sound like when you say, I can't meditate, I'm not good at it, or it's not for me. It's you tried and there was monkeys jumping on the bed and there was pinball machines going off.
You had an expectation of what you're supposed to happen, right?
And instead of letting go and surrendering. So let me give 4 quick things that you are thinking about or focusing on is better. So the first thing is real easy. This is how it was described to me, is following the breath. Only putting your intention on your breath. Inhale and exhale. And that's all you're thinking about. And if your mind wanders, you return back to the breath. Right? So that'd be 1. 2 would be a mantra, which is a word or phrase that you repeat over and over again, which then, once again, does the same thing. Puts your attention on one thing instead of 50 million things. Everything. Right? 3rd would be a yantra, right? Where you're kind of sitting in silence, but you're staring at one thing. And then eventually that stare becomes also surrender into seeing
Yeah.
everything.
Or expanding your awareness.
Yes.
We'll get into some like cool techniques like Hakala meditation next week or next time.
Right, because Wednesday we're giving you the X's and O's.
Yeah, the
and
more
how-tos.
details,
This is an overview. We'll get into the details. So I don't know what number I'm on, but another thing would be focusing on.
This is 4, I think. Yep.
Oh, we'll give more than 4. Then. Another thing would be focusing on a future outcome that you want with love, gratitude, and worthiness. So to manifest things. So you travel into the future, feel what you want, and be grateful for it as if it is in the present moment, and that's how you bring it to the present
Yeah,
moment.
that's the biggest, I guess, trap I see with, and everybody goes through it when you first kind of discover, because it's becoming more of a thing now, like manifestation is a thing. But I see a lot of people like, oh, I want this. So a wanting is a state of lack, right? So it's really about having.
So you
right?
say you have it.
Yeah.
And then people are like, but I don't have it. But you don't get it.
But you don't. Yeah, cool. It's about, and it's not even about having it. It's about being okay with just accepting that you have it, right? Just accepting. If you know you have something, you don't have to worry about it.
Yes,
right?
being worthy to accept it,
Yeah.
and you're good either way.
Yeah.
I'm already good.
If it happens, if it is happening, either way,
I'm whole and complete.
I accept.
I'm Gucci right now.
Because it's not about, you can't, there's very little, I mean, manifestation gives you an idea of what you can pull into your environment, but there's a lot that you can't control, right? Like
You can only control your intentions and your actions.
but like you didn't control being born or control going to Princeton Wellness. A lot of the stuff that kind of happened, like by, you could say, divine intervention, right?
Right, I was going to say there is subconscious manifestation that you're doing to yourself and you're not aware of. So that's what I'm saying. To meditate and become aware of it.
All you can do is prepare yourself.
Right, because in the quantum field, that's what I'm just going to get to. Because in the quantum field, there's unlimited potential. But if you show up every day and prepare, you're putting yourself on the path that you want.
Yeah, like when I'm working with clients, this is the case a lot with like a lot of weight loss clients who are new to the experience, and like many people on any kind of body transformation journey, hold a lot of self-resentment, self-judgment, shame, and stuff like unworthiness is a big one, right?
You don't say.
I say so. And so it becomes this like constant worry about like I'm not getting there. I'm not going to get there. Like, well,
I'm not skinny enough. I'm not good enough.
I'm like, well, what does the X amount of pounds version of you that you want to get to, what does that person think on a regular basis?
Think and feel like.
Yeah. What would, close your eyes and what does it, imagine that, visualize that, feel into that.
And when you feel into
that person's not going to be complaining about not losing weight, right?
They're good.
That person's happy, right? So it's really not about losing weight. It's about being happy.
Because weight is physical matter. So that, fat is physical matter, right? Yeah. So that takes time and conditions to catch up. But you can change your happiness immediately by shifting your thoughts.
Yeah. But you got to prepare for it, right? There's a very few realities where you don't believe you can do something and you do it. There's very few realities.
That's random and luck, and I don't believe in those things. Yeah. Random luck and coincidence.
Yeah, it's all
I believe in preparation and manifestation.
Exactly, right? So you got if you want something, well then
go get it.
Just very little you can do to bring in the plane, to bring the person, to bring to you, but you can just be ready for it.
You can be ready.
Get ready. That's what Abraham Hicks. Get ready.
That's it. Abraham Hicks.
You're just getting ready.
Getting ready to get ready.
Preparing for change.
And that's the thing. Preparing for change and being worthy to accept that change.
See, that was a little side tangent on manifestation. Yeah. But I also, like you mentioned, the breath too. It's like brings you to the present moment, right? Because that's what you're doing when you close your eyes and you're breathing. That's immediately in the present. And it's also one thing, which is like the big point you brought up too, because
focusing on one thing.
Because ultimately, and even if you look at the sutras too, it's really about once you focus on that one thing and you become skilled, which happens through practice, which happens through showing up and repetition and focus, and a commitment, right? And a commitment is a relationship, right? So you're cultivating a relationship with yourself, which is what taking in on any practice or discipline is letting go of that one thing entirely, right?
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, because meditation for me is a practice of letting go of anger, resentment, guilt, shame. You can go, because here was the last point I was going to make. Instead of traveling to the future in your mind to manifest things and opening up your heart and feeling worthy and grateful for it, and then using your heart and brain in sync to put things out into the quantum field and pull them towards you, and create your path and manifest and create your reality, you can also go back into the past and heal things with your intentions. Okay, so where your energy goes, where your intentions go, right? So where your intention goes, energy flows. Therefore, you can heal physical injuries, which is difficult and takes a lot of practice. But more importantly, you can heal mental and emotional injuries by going back to that place and time in your head and forgiving yourself and letting things go. Because all suffering is attachment. And if you're not letting go and surrendering of old things, and trust me, this is why we have cameras and microphones, because we're doing the work and we've been through plenty of things where, for me, I'll speak for myself, I was a serial anger junkie where aggression and anger was coming out because I was afraid of vulnerability and I didn't have a good forgiveness practice, right? So the first person and the most important person to forgive is yourself, all right?
For sure.
Then you can forgive your younger self and go back to your younger self and be like, dude, not only did we make it, but we're awesome. So don't worry about it. Like, you're safe, you're whole, you're complete, you're successful, you're happy, you're healthy. Where you are now, you don't feel that because you feel scared because there's trauma. And we're going to let go of that trauma. We're not going to blame others. We're not going to think someone else is coming in to save us. You are the only one that can save you. So you go back in time, forgive your younger self, inner child, whatever you want to call it, and say you're safe, buddy. And everything's all good and we made it. And we're going places in the future.
And that's the practice of non-attachment, right? Because the only way you can exist in a space where you can talk to your younger self is in a detachment from it, right?
Yes.
If I identify with the mistakes I made 30 years ago, there's no way I can break free from them, right? As long as I identify with my problem, the problem will persist as long as I do.
That's it.
Right? And that's how people lead to suicide and stuff like that, because they're trying to solve the problem of themselves.
Been there too.
Right?
It's not worth it.
Not worth it.
Don't do it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Because now there's no mistakes and there's no losses. The only L's I take are lessons.
Ooh.
Bottom line. Okay? And then you go back and you stack those little wins up, because all we do is win. All right? And then the last thing is like a body scan. Right? Because once again, where your attention goes. So a lot of times I'll be like, okay, following the breath, and I'll be like, where is the tip of my nose? And you put your intention on the tip of your nose, and you can kind of become aware of it. I was not going to say see it, because you're kind of seeing it with your proprioception in your third eye, but your eyes are closed. So you're bringing awareness to the tip of your nose, and then your ears. Then you can center that to your pineal gland in the middle of your middle of your brain and your hippocampus. And then you can find whatever, each toe, and then your calf, and then your knee, and then your thigh, and then your back, whatever, all the way up. Then you can light up, and we'll get to next week, each chakra or energy center in your glands. Right, your sacral chakra, which is in your perineum, connecting to the earth, and then coming up into the pit of your gut.
Solar plexus.
Into the solar plexus. Then we're into the second energy center, right? Then, which is like below the belly button, let's say. Then the pit of your gut, which is solar plexus right below the rib cage. Then center of your heart, which is your chest.
Throat.
Back of the throat. Middle of the brain, which is the third eye.
The crown is the head.
Pituitary gland, or the crown chakra, which connects you to the whole universe and everything, in the center and the top of the head, right? So then you're grounded to the ground. You're connected to the universe. You're lighting up each gland and each energy center, and you can feel them pulsating. And you can feel what's blocked and what's feeling good and what's overactive and what's underactive. And like I said, what's blocked off and what needs love and what needs energy. And then you can go into your mantras or whatever. I am, I love, I feel, I do, I see, I understand. Into these, and we'll go over all this, but
it's not gonna happen on your first day.
No,
most likely it may.
It
may happen when you leave.
Getting down the road. So your first day. So let's talk about that real quick. First day at the gym. You're not going to do 2-hour full body smoking yourself deadlifts and squats, right?
You can, but you're probably not going to show up the next day.
That's the thing.
And what did we just talk about? Showing up is the most important.
Habits and consistency and sustainability, right? So maybe your first day of meditation is 2 minutes of breathing in through your nose.
That's it. Yeah, make it as achievable as possible.
Yeah, tiny goals.
And it doesn't matter. And you can be like, well, that's cheating. Well, cheating what? Cheating who?
That's the best part. There's no rules.
Who are we trying to win against?
Okay.
What system are we trying to...
There's no system. The system is humanity and the human experience and love and life. So I think you said it on the mic check. There's like, religion has rules and constructs and us versus them, and if you don't follow the rules, you're going to hell, and everybody's
not all of it.
Right.
But
But that's the cool part about spirituality is there's no rules.
No rules.
It's be yourself. Be your
Spring break 2021.
be your authentic self. Do whatever the hell you want, so long as it doesn't hurt another person, animal, or the environment, and love life. And that's it. I throw that last one in. That's not unnecessary. But I like fun and loving yourself and loving life.
Feels a lot better.
Right? So there's no rules. Okay? So the point is tiny habits and chunking it down to, well, Google said I have to meditate for 20 to 30 minutes in the lotus position. No, you don't. Lay on the ground in a comfortable position. Right? Maybe not in bed because then you'll fall asleep and the brain waves for sleep are delta waves that are different. A nap is nice.
Yeah.
Everybody likes naps. But meditation is more theta brain waves when you're in like a hypnotic state. So both are beneficial, but sleeping is not meditative. But they're different. Okay? So even just laying down on the ground.
Yeah.
For 2 minutes, breathing through your nose in silence and observing your thoughts.
Yeah, because that's an expectation. 20, 30 minutes. I have to do this in order to get that, right?
Right. So that's the next thing. So if I want to do 20, 30 minutes, I block off an hour. Because I'm not somebody that's setting an alarm and doing it all structured.
You're just going to kind of go.
Yeah, I'm going with it. And sometimes it's 45 minutes and sometimes it's 20 minutes. And do whatever you can. Because like you said, the point is showing up every single day. And then that 2 minutes turns into 3 minutes and more and more. And we'll go over Wednesday the different things. There's headphones with binaural beats that are going to help change your brain waves. Okay. There's guided meditations. There's, like we said, mantras and yantras that you focus on one thing. But in the beginning, you're not going to feel too much and achieve too much, but that's not the point. The point is setting up a habit and consistency, because then eventually, like I said, you either bring in breathing exercises, chants, ohms, whatever, or more importantly, binaural beats or sounds of some sort, bowls, any type of sound healing. That's going to increase the brain waves even more. And then you start to feel, I don't want to say achieve things, but that's when you feel the benefits.
Yeah.
Because so many people are like, I have been consistent for a week and I don't feel anything. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
What do you want? What do you want to feel?
Yeah,
right?
but
you want to
like,
feel good.
Right.
And that's what, like we were
That's
talking
any
about.
goal.
We were talking about Pema before. She's like, the goal of meditation is not to feel good. Like that's not the goal of it, right? That can be a byproduct. The goal of meditation is really just sitting with yourself in this present moment. Boom. And that's accepting positives and negatives, because it's all part of the same thing. You can't only feel positive all the time. Otherwise, you're going to get a big negative crash. They're all part of the same thing. It's about being with it, sitting with all the emotions. Because like we said, it's preparation. Because it's not going to about like, things are bad now, so now I'm going to go meditate. I'm sick, I'm going to go take a prescription pill. It's like, I'm preparing my body so I don't have to do all that stuff in the future.
Lifestyle practices.
And it won't work. It won't really work very well if you use it as a treatment, right? Because it's not a treatment. It's just a way of being, right? It's a way of observing. Yoga would call it a science of the mind, right?
Yeah.
The first line of the sutras is, yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, or the management of the changing states of mind, right? Yep. And so that's the monkey mind popping out. We're observing it, sitting with it, whether it feels good or feels bad, right? Because if you ever, the high level, therapy or high level inner work doesn't involve, like you said, pressing down bad emotions. It's really being in there with them.
Well, so that's Vipassana meditation, right? Where you're just
feeling
in your shit. You're in your shit.
You're in the shit. But that's how are you going to learn from it if you can't study it, right? Like you don't go to school and learn things without studying things. That's how it works.
It's practice every single day and it's work. But this is inner work, to know yourself.
Study your mind.
It was funny. Dr. Campbell's been doing a lot of Instagram lives. I jumped in the other one on Saturday night with Alex Speaks Freely. She's awesome as well. And he said he was talking about something. And he said something about primary care, and then he stuttered and stopped himself. He's like, "It shouldn't be. That shouldn't be primary care." He's like, "Lifestyle and holistic practices should be primary care." And I was like in the chat, I was like, "That's our shit, doc." I was like, "Make holistic alternative practices primary care, so that it's health care instead of sick care, and then it's just emergency room if you break your leg or you get a traumatic accident."
It just makes sense in the wording too. Primary is your first line of defense. What is your first line of defense? Everything you can control. The last resort. What is the last resort?
But that's the problem of the system. Is they poison the food. They tell everybody to be lazy, so that primary care, you're reliant on pharmaceutical companies, doctors, hospitals, and insurance companies, instead of relying on yourself with personal responsibility. Because then let me tell you what, you don't need a doctor unless you get in a freaking car accident and you have acute trauma. Because we can talk about the different types of injuries, mental injuries, emotional injuries, chronic injuries that come from moving poorly, eating poorly, poor lifestyle choices, which can all be prevented,
Yep.
or a traumatic injury. You fall off your bike, you break your leg, you're going to need a surgeon, he's going to save your life.
Yeah.
That's such a small percentage versus going there every time you have a boo-boo.
Yeah, and like it's even like actively hurting
Yes.
our medicine too, right? Because like you said, medicine can be helpful, but antibiotics are way overprescribed to the point that all antibiotics will soon become like null and void. Like bacteria is becoming resistant to it. You know?
Let's not confuse medicine with medication.
Yeah.
They're medicating symptoms. Medicine is lifestyle practices of water, sleep, meditation, nature, movement, rest, music, sound, vibration, whatever.
Yeah, it's getting to the root versus cutting off the branch, right?
That's it. We're not putting Band-Aids on symptoms. We're getting to the root and we're healing ourselves. Only you can heal yourself, okay? A doctor can set a bone for you. Your body heals it, okay? Acupuncturist can put the needles in to line up your meridians and get the chi flowing. You are healing yourself, okay? A therapist can give you some advice and listen to your questions and listen to your vent and give you different ways to think. But only you are healing yourself on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level, okay? So speaking of that, with the healthy human experience, we break things down. If you've seen the first couple episodes, we have the 4 layers of health that we've come up with. Trademark, circle C, little r, TM, okay? On the physical level, meditation is going to switch on your parasympathetic nervous system, okay, which is your rest and digest to balance your fight and flight, okay? This is going to help recovery, muscle growth, fat loss. All day, we've talked about this in a stress response of go, 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 cortisol's up, adrenaline's up, and you're in fight or flight, which is what you should be in during a workout, and a fear trauma response for emergencies, which is once in a blue moon. Then, like you said, there's heat shock, cold shock, exercise, hormetic stressors that you're setting up because you've also set up recovery built in. Too many people are in such stressful states of sitting in traffic, arguing with their spouse, boss, life, depression, anxiety, that they're in that state chronically, and that's what causes disease, inflammation, and chronic stress, right? So this is going to bring you, once again, to balance and center and switch on parasympathetic nervous system. Another thing on a physical level that meditation does is just body awareness. The same way lifting weights, if you're doing it right, you have proprioception of feeling the muscle lengthen and shorten and what stabilizers and posture you're supposed to be in. Meditation for me, a lot of times I'm like, ooh, my knee does hurt in this position, or my back is interesting. And then sometimes you have the shift forward or shift left.
I mean, how much of the time do you only notice issues with your body when it gets to the point where it's too late?
When you're laying down in bed, so your adrenaline's going all day, and you don't know your knee hurts, your back hurts, you have a headache.
So it's just kind of numbed by
not good. Then you lay down in bed, and now you need fucking 9 pills to go to sleep. Because when you finally lay down, your body can give you some awareness of, oh shit, your knee is throbbing, dude.
Yeah,
now through that all
now
day.
We're in a position laying down where we can actually focus on the body, and now we're noticing it's been there the whole time, but now with lack of awareness,
body awareness.
Yeah.
So the same way when you sit deep in meditation, and maybe this is more of an intermediate or advanced practice, instead of all these voices in your head, like I said, pinball machines going off, monkeys jumping on the bed, I can separate myself from my higher self, from my ego, because the ego is always like a playful, like a teenager, where he's kind of a jerk and he won't shut up and he cuts you off and he says like braggadocious type of ideas poking the bear all the time, right? Then you have your voice that you control, which I would call yourself. Then there's the higher self, which a lot of times doesn't speak in words unless you can really tap into source. So when I'm in meditation, sometimes I'll say, show me what my higher self feels like if I ask a yes or no question, and the answer is no. And it's like, ooh, there's like a throbbing in my solar plexus in the pit of my gut, where it kind of feels like when you know somebody's lying to you, and it does not feel good.
Yeah.
And it pulses. Then I'm like, okay, higher self, what if I ask a yes or no question, and the answer is yes, and I get like a really good feeling in my third eye, and my heart light opens up a little bit. And I'm like, okay, so now you can meditate on quieting the ego, sitting him down in the corner, and then using yourself to converse with your higher self and getting true answers from intuition. Okay, so this is deeper practices that maybe we'll go into on Wednesday. But point being is, you're the mother that walks into the room and the 3 kids are jumping on the bed. And all you do is say, you sit over there, you sit over there, you sit over there. We're going to do some breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And we're going to sit in silence. Then the ego's going to try to jump back on the bed. And you don't yell at him and get mad. Right. You put him back in the chair and you come back to the present moment.
Yeah.
All right. So the same way that you can establish mental awareness, physical body awareness.
Yeah.
Right?
And that ego, self, higher self, that's separation, right? Because before they're all kind of jumbled up,
yes,
consumed maybe even by the ego.
Yes.
But we pull them out of the ego and then we can pull that out of there. So we have 3 different layers right now.
Yeah, when the ego's driving the bus, it's not as fun. Because then you're in the back, the windows are open, papers are flying around.
No seatbelts are on.
No seatbelts are on.
Windshield wipers are on.
I'll turn this damn bus around. Ruin your precious little field trip. All right, but you don't want to do that. Yeah. All right? You want to bring it to center, and now you're driving the bus.
Stop throwing rocks at the window at the car.
The ego's not dead. Right. He's buckled in. He's sitting there. You need him when you use him.
Gotta let him know.
And you're driving the bus.
Who's running the show here?
Okay. I'm running the show.
Hey, you're not real.
Because that's the thing. That's what you tell to your ego. It's okay. I know you want to say all these things.
I know you want to
travel
survive.
to the past. I know you want to survive. And it's okay, buddy. You sit down. I'm in charge. And that's a win. And those wins add up.
Yeah, whenever you notice the ego getting angry,
fresh with you.
that's a response, right? And
yes.
it's a human response to survival, right? When you feel like you're being attacked, don't you get defensive more? Of course you do, because you're trying to survive. So does the ego. Right?
And you do that less and less when you have a meditative practice.
When you can detach from.
Then you detach from those things and you can take a deep breath and have a better response instead of an immediate reaction.
Yeah.
Been there. Used to yell at everybody, including myself. And now I take a deep breath and I focus on one thing and I process everything and I try to be as polite and empathetic and compassionate and kind as I can to myself and others. So on a mental level, you're establishing discipline, mental awareness, most importantly, focus and concentration. Kids, they throw Ritalin and Adderall at kids when they can't focus, but they never say exercise, eat right, meditate. You just pump them full of sugar and pills and say good luck and sit them in a desk all day.
And they're like half comatose there.
Ridiculous.
Not learning anything.
Mental practice from meditation, not only setting up discipline and awareness of your thoughts and emotions, but focus and concentration. You can decompress, organize thoughts where sometimes, people are like, they have a big question to answer, like, oh, I'll sleep on it, because it's different brain waves at night. A lot of times you can meditate on something.
Yeah.
You drop into a meditative meditative space, then you bring up that question and see what your ego, yourself, and your higher self has to say about it. And you bat the idea around in a calm, relaxed state.
Yeah, you're not going in there thinking about it.
No.
You have the intention, and then you just let go.
That's it.
And you're cultivating silence for however long it needs to until you get to that silence. And that's when it's silent. When it's silent, it speaks. That's that famous Rumi quote too, right? So if you go, and that's another trap, right, of the ego. Like I go in with a question. Well, now I'm waiting for the answer. Where's the answer? Is that the answer?
No.
Because now you're just contemplating, which is a different thing, right?
Completely different.
But meditation requires space for anything to come in, right? You got to be. It's being receptive to an answer and trusting it will come, right? That's a big part of it.
And then, from a neurological level, on a mental health layer, okay, meditation alters brain receptors associated with drug addiction or any addiction, shopping, porn, sex, gambling, whatever, video games. You're altering your brain receptors to once again restore and work in energy instead of working out energy. Okay, so if you've ever had issues in the past with addiction of anything, not necessarily fucking snorting heroin off a stripper's ass.
It can be any habits that have been formed. It doesn't need to be chemically addicted necessarily.
No, like I said, gambling, anything. It lines you up and centers you so you're not making, like irrational, spontaneous, out of control choices.
Well, it's like imagine you being on a tightrope and that's your center and that's your balance, right? And all of a sudden your one friend who's your addiction is like, hey, let's come over here. He's trying to play this way, right? And you got this other addiction that's pointing that way, right? You got to let go of those hands that they're trying to play with if you want to stay in balance, right? And the only way you can do that is observe your space, what you need to stay centered. Come back
physically, mentally, energetically.
Yep. And then again, that's going back to the very beginning. We're just watching those thoughts, those patterns.
That's it.
And once you watch your thoughts and feelings long enough, that's what I meant to say. You start to observe patterns, and then you can get to the root of behaviors. Once you get to the root of behaviors, you can uproot behaviors, right? So.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because you sit with it long enough, and then you're able to realize why, and pattern recognition.
So now you're not trapped in it. You're separated from it. And that's huge.
Yes,
that's
and now you're looking
experience.
at it, observing it, oh, that's happening to this guy.
And even if you don't like resolve it, just the awareness of it is a massive leap into being able to not solve the problem, but again, like I said, uproot it, dissolve it, alchemize it into something different.
Yeah, because once again, like we breezed over before, we are spiritual light beings having a human experience. So you are not your body, you are not your thoughts. Your higher self can observe. Like I watch and observe Sean all day.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's doing phenomenal. There was issues in the past, and now there's
necessary
nothing
issues?
but abundance, necessary adversity and issues to get where I am now. Because this is the contract, the soul contract that I signed up for, is to be in this World War III, in this spiritual war. The cost of doing business is I had to go through a lot of adversity in my younger years, and all the near-death experiences and addictions and obesity and diseases and suicide attempts and all this other shit has brought me here now stronger so that I can be of service to humanity and the world, okay? Because I am fit for service, healing myself as daily lifestyle practices, and I can just inspire and guide and coach others. Healing or fixing other people, inspiring, guiding, giving advice, and coaching.
Yeah.
I see it, and having a good time. I always throw that in because I like to have fun. I like the party. Anyway.
Parody.
So now we're on the emotional level, okay? This is your stress relief, where you are being present with your emotions, okay? You're actually feeling your emotions instead of suppressing them, repressing them, pushing them down, or letting them explode on yourself.
Which
and
happens
everyone
as a
around
result
you.
of suppression.
You're right. And people are exploding all over the place, all right? So my little technique with feeling emotions, like I said, I went decades and decades with not feeling any emotions, good or bad. I thought
That sounds healthy.
Oh, dude, it was not. Believe it or not. I thought there was only bad feelings in the world because that's what I was focused on, right? So I was like, I don't want to feel bad feelings. And I tried to kill myself and it didn't work. So what I'm going to do is ignore all feelings, good or bad, not accept love from myself or other people, but more importantly, stuff down and repress all the trauma wounds, right? I was like proud to be a tough guy that didn't cry, whatever. Now I cry every single day. It's fucking awesome. It's a practice that I have written in because that's moving. We already established. Emotion is emotion, energy in motion. I'm moving that negative energy out because my technique of sitting with an emotion, negative or otherwise, feeling it, really sitting into it and weighing it out to see when's the appropriate time that I can alchemize it into positive energy. Okay, so sometimes people react right away and some people drag on emotions for way too long. Neither of those are a healthy balance. I feel it, analyze it, become aware of it, accept it, and then see if I can either let that go because it doesn't serve me, or instead of holding on to anger, I can utilize that and, like I said, alchemize that energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it can change forms. So I can turn that negative energy of anger into productivity and passion and compassion, right? Or whatever it is. Guilt and shame, you trade in your guilt for gratitude. That's your alchemy right there.
Yeah, alchemy. The process of alchemy is knowledge of it, so awareness of the constituents or what everything is, the emotion, right? In this sense, then it's deconstruction, right? So we're breaking it down to the root, right? And from deconstruction, we can reconstruct into something else. But it requires that initial state of sitting with that emotion for however long, weighing that as for however long. And there's no right or wrong amount of time, right?
No, and it's different for each situation.
And you can't force
each person,
it, right? Because now it's
force
suppression.
You got to feel it by sitting with it every single day in meditation. So a quick example is the people pleaser and the over apologizer. They're 2 minutes late. Oh, I'm so sorry for being late. Now you're sorry and you've lowered the vibration of the room instead of saying thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for waiting for me.
Gratitude.
Now you've changed your guilt for being late into gratitude for their patience. Now you've raised the vibration of yourself, them, the entire room. That is a spiritual practice and an emotional practice. You've alchemized guilt into gratitude, and you've raised your vibration. That's just one example. Like I said, letting go of anger and resentment and turning that into passion and productivity is another good one. Letting go of resentment and guilt is another big one, and shame is probably the biggest one.
Shame is probably the biggest one, speaking...
But really, what do you got to be shameful for?
Oh.
Why do you give a rat's dick about what the fuck somebody else is saying?
Well, I need that shame to learn about it, right? You gotta feel that and sit with it, and you study it, right? And so, my own experiences, negative, the gamu of negative emotion, shame, suicides. That's why we're on a team here, right?
Of course.
Addictions, whatever it is.
We didn't read this shit in a book, guys.
No, it's not. That's
fucking living this life.
That's
beautiful.
like two, the things you need to learn when you go to school and you have a profession, right? Or go to college, whatever it is, then you need to go to college. You study something, right, to learn about it, but then you also have to experience it, right?
Practice.
So combine those two, study or experience, right? And that's what that is, right? When you sit with that emotion of that shame, I can't begin to deconstruct it without knowing what it is and accepting it for what it is, right? If I don't accept that I am feeling those emotions and that those feelings feel really real and they may be grounded in certain situations, then I'm never going to get to the root, right?
Yes.
If I continue to just hack away at the heads of the Hydra, they're going to keep coming back.
No, they come back.
And I can do that. It's going to get real tiring, and I'm going to feel really defeated.
For decades and decades and
forever,
decades and
right?
decades. And it's mommy's fault, it's daddy's fault, it's this person's fault. It's nobody's fault.
And shame is, the number one underlying emotion between people who commit homicides, suicides, depression, addicts. That's the number one underlying emotion.
Whatever trauma happened to you is not your fault whatsoever. And you are worthy of healing. But it is your responsibility to heal.
And the difference between shame and guilt is I feel bad for something I did, right? So that's a detachment, right? Because it's an action. Shame is I feel bad because I am bad, right?
That's
so
poop.
It feels in the moment it's real. It's 100% real. And if you feel those feelings, it happens a lot it happens in yoga classes all the time. You'll be there in a shavasana, and somebody who's maybe new doesn't realize what just happened to their body and their mind, and they'll start bursting into tears of the feelings.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, right. But if they're not prepared for that, right, that can be a lot. But that's what's going to happen, right? If you have a lot of those repressed, if you feel that shame, you're not aware of it. When it starts to bubble up, the initial reaction may be to run away, or maybe initial reaction may be to push it down, right? Or to hide, you said yours was anger. Mine was more.
Well, there's runners and ignorers.
Yeah, I was more of like beat myself up to death, but then hide and crawl into a hole and dig myself into a grave, right?
You're digging holes, I'm punching holes in walls.
Right? And I'm just going to the holes you punch in the walls.
That's it. Not healthy, not recommended. Okay.
But from that shame, right? When I detach from I am bad, it's like, I felt really, really bad.
Yes.
Then. Why did I feel really bad then, right? Because now I'm in study mode, right? Now I'm not in attachment mode. I just got free from that weight, right? You use the hot air balloon. I just got free from that weight, so now I can see that weight. And so now I can learn about that weight. And
whatever you say after I am is true. Whatever you believe is true. Believe is be live. Whatever you believe is going to become your life. Okay? So when you say, I am depressed, I am shameful, I am anxious. No. You're just perpetuating that. I have felt feelings of depression. I am now healing and getting better. And you change your language, you change your thoughts, you change your actions, you change your beliefs, your habits, and your feelings.
Yeah.
Then you change your future. That's how you make change.
Yeah, and I was just doing, I was going to sit down to write the other day, and I noticed myself procrastinating. And I have all these methods, and everybody does a procrastination that are just funny, and I could have easily, because I've gotten frustrated with myself for being procrastinating before, and everybody gets frustrated with procrastination. But I was able to, and I set time for it, right? So that's even more frustrating when you miss an appointment with yourself, right? And so then I was like, I got up. I used to pace a lot, and I still do occasionally. I notice myself he's pacing. Pacing is happening, right? There are, instead of saying I feel sad, there are feelings of sadness, right? Or there's feelings of frustration.
Yes.
Because now there are feelings of frustration versus I feel frustrated, right? And the moment you do that, I was able to just smile, and I was able to. I
smile.
I spent 20 minutes procrastinating, but I observed it, and at the end of the 20 minutes, when my ego finally gave up, I got back to it. I'm like, that was great.
Instead of then procrastinating for 20 and beating yourself up for 2 more hours.
And then you're
off the rails.
Then you're even worse than you started.
Which is the same thing I do with a good cry. Once I become aware of it and I'm getting that energy out, then I start laughing because I'm happy and proud of myself that I'm moving that energy. And now I'm doing a laugh cry like the Joker and shit. Phenomenal stuff. But here's the thing. It's daily practice of preparation, because if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Remember Dr. Strange? Because I'm Captain America, he's Dr. Strange, right?
This is true.
They said, he's like, I'm not good at it.
Like, well, how'd you get good at becoming a doctor, right?
He said, study and practice.
Years
many years of it. Okay?
She's like, well,
So that's your answer for meditation. So last layer of the human experience is spiritual, okay? So when you're meditating on a spiritual level, you're raising your vibration to expand your consciousness, okay? And that brings in spiritual practices of compassion, empathy, forgiveness we talked about. It's your connection to source, whatever word that is for you, God, the universe, oneness, wholeness, and you're letting go of attachment and surrender. And in the spiritual practice of deep meditation, whether it's plant medicines, chanting, breath work, whatever, with certain meditations, that's when you can astral travel. That's when you can talk to the guides. That's where you can talk to your higher self. That's where you can go places and do things in the fourth, fifth dimension versus the three-dimensional world that we live in. So that's going to be for another day to get deeper, but I think that suffices on the spiritual level for now.
yeah.
Basically, you're just literally raising your vibration. And what does that mean? I'm talking about Joe Dispenza measures heart waves and brain waves on an EEG and an EKG, right? Electrocephalogram or whatever the fuck it's called, that shows frequencies and vibrations. And you can take yourself from guilt, shame, and fear to gratitude, empathy, and love that are higher vibrational states. Therefore, you're more healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah, if you look at check out the book of Power versus Force and David Hawkins stuff. He has that map of consciousness, or that level of vibration, right?
Yeah.
And so he does a lot of muscle testing, which people use now for food, but you can use that for high vibrational stuff too. So I think he did when he was first discovering.
Do a video on that.
Yeah, when he was first studying it, he took religious books like the Bible or like holy texts or stuff like that, and did muscle testing, strong vibration right on those. And he took something like like a swastika or something built out of hate, and low vibration, right? He had double blind study. Everyone had a brown bag with either vitamin C packets in it or like some sort of artificial chemical or something like that, right? And that everybody who had the artificial chemical tested weak, right, on the muscle test, and everybody had the vitamin C tested stronger.
Because of intention. It's the same exact thing. If you hold your arm out and I go to push it down, fight against me, pretty strong, right? Because you weren't thinking of anything except for pushing it down.
Yeah.
Now, if you say fear, 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 repeat the word fear. And
Fear.
I can push him down a little bit easier. He's still strong, but I made it.
Yeah.
The same amount of pressure approximately. Now say love. Hold the arm out.
Love.
He's way stronger. Way stronger. That's an impromptu study, but point being is muscle testing.
Yeah.
Your state, your mental state and your vibration, your thoughts create your reality. Okay? Remember that, folks. So just wrapping up here real quick because we're going to go deeper on Wednesday because we still haven't given you the how-to and the X's and O's. So this is more of an overview and a teaser for the next episode. But just know there's different, I'm not going to say goals, I'm going to say intentions with meditation, okay? You can clear your mind, which we talked about. You can manifest, where you go into the future. You can heal yourself, where you go into the past. You can let go and forgive yourself and feel emotions. Line up your chakras, which is just energizing your glands and your energy centers to raise your vibration. A love and kindness meditation, where you're increasing your compassion. Then there's moving meditations, okay? Tai Chi, Qigong, martial arts, a walking meditation, okay? Art, like a Zen garden per se, painting, drawing, gardening, knitting, whatever you can do that you're in the present moment can be a meditative practice for you. So the first thing is sitting in silence and breathing, okay? And it's a beautiful day. That's meditation. I forgot what else I was going to say, but we're wrapping up on time.
If you're new to meditating, haven't started, take a few seconds just right now, even if it's just 1 second, one breath, and check it off. You meditated today, right? That's how it starts.
That's it.
Small steps.
Baby steps.
Chunk it up.
Sit in silence. Breathe through your nose 3 times. That's a win. Mark it as a W. Move on to the next day. We'll see you next time. Peace.